Got my eyes straight ahead, got my head in the game. With the red light on, I'm just waiting for the change. Keep my head down low.
Hi, I'm Jay Fallon, and thanks for listening to The Slippery Slope. So, I've seen a lot of articles, a lot of pieces written about, and they refer to truth telling. Obviously, I did an episode the other day, a few days ago now, about Victoria's decision to enter into a treaty with Indigenous people that say that they are Indigenous in Victoria. So, we've entered one of our states, second biggest city, entered into a treaty agreement with Indigenous people in Victoria. And we talk about truth telling. As a nation, we talk about truth telling. We like to use that phrase, truth telling. I don't believe, as a nation, just to generalize, I don't believe we really want truth, actual truth. I've been talking a lot lately about what is truth, what the Bible talks about, truth. Jesus and Pilate, having that conversation. Pontius Pilate stands up and goes, "What is truth?" Jesus has just told him the truth. He says, "What is truth?" Because the whole problem with what Pilate knew was he knew that it was all a conspiracy. The people wanted Jesus to be killed. He knew Jesus shouldn't have been there, and he's standing there and he's going, "What is truth?" Okay. This is the problem in Australia. We talk about truth. We say truth telling. We're going to do this because we're all going to have this little truth telling session. But what is truth? The problem is with truth telling, it's just people telling their version, what they believe, or not even what they believe, what they want everyone else to believe is the truth. Let's check out this video with Andrew Bolt. Now, I'll tell you, I don't know. There's something about Andrew Bolt that it just grates me. He grates me. Okay, I don't like listening to him. I'll read his stuff and I think, yep, okay, a lot of truth there, and I agree. But for some reason, there's something about him, it just irritates me. Absolutely irritates me. And you know what it might be? It might be the fact that he comes across as being so blunt. And it's because he's so blunt, sometimes it just seems like an absolute arrogance. And it can be hard to listen to, hard to hear. But I got to tell you, I listened to this video when he's talking, and this is what I was probably trying to say, and probably not trying to be as direct as what this fellow is at the moment. But there is so much truth in what he's saying. Actually, not I can't say so much truth. There's just absolute truth, I think, in what he's saying. People would rather, put blinkers on and not look at what is blatantly obvious in front of their own eyes. And I think this is what Andrew Bolt is saying in this video. Let's check this out. Now he does say that he's got to point out something that most people are too scared, something like that, too scared to talk about. I brought this up the other week. I'm not too scared to say it. There are too many people out there who are fake. They are fake Indigenous people, or if they're not fake, they might be Indigenous. But the problem is, you're only part Indigenous. Okay, you've got some Indigenous heritage. That does not mean that you are just 100% Indigenous, and you should, in my opinion, I don't believe you should then automatically get the land given back to you because you are Indigenous. No, you've got some Indigenous heritage. That's it. It doesn't mean you get land back. That doesn't mean you get all these rights or whatever. You get treated differently, or you get differential treatment. No, you can be proud of it. I'm happy for you. It's great. Okay, acknowledge it, but you don't suddenly have some other claim over the land that other people don't have, because this is 200 plus years later. So let's check out what old Andrew Bolt has to say. Like I said, there's something about him that just grates me the wrong way. Maybe it's just, he's got the face only a mother can love. But anyway, he does say some truthful things here.
I've got to point out something most people are too scared or woke to note publicly. Now, some viewers may find it offensive that I note it. And they might even complain to our speech police who shut me down again. But this is even more important now that Melbourne and its surrounding areas is the latest swathe of Australia to be hit by an Aboriginal native title claim, more than 10,000 square kilometres. So let us be frank, because this is getting really stupid and offensive and dangerously divisive. This claim over parks and reserves and other vacant Crown land in Melbourne and around it is from members of the Wurundjeri Woiwurrung, who then get some control over water resources, for instance, or park management, fire reduction burns perhaps, but not, I should add, over private property. Now, already it might strike you as absurd and unfair that a tribe of at most 1,500 people, maybe 1,000, I don't know, claiming to be Aboriginal, have so much say over 5.5 million other fellow Australians.
Okay, so I believe this is the first problem. What he's saying here, I agree with, okay, is the people, 1,500 people who claim to be Indigenous. The problem is we have the system where all you have to do is just claim it. Maybe someone will have to recognise it, maybe, but people just get up and claim it. I've done episodes before. We had a woman in Victoria. She's like I said, she's about as white as the shirt I'm wearing. She had bright red hair. She claimed to be from I think it was around the border town there of northern Victoria, southern New South Wales. The people from that area said they never didn't know who the heck she was, but she was running for Parliament down in Victoria there. What's his name? The old Premier endorsed her. All she had to do was claim it. We've seen countless other people just claiming, not offering any proof. And this is a problem. And this is the problem that the Australian government have allowed. So it shouldn't be going on. But this is what happens in Australia. We create these systems and then we scratch our heads. When I say we, the government creates these systems and then scratches their heads and go, oh, why have we got all these people claiming things that they shouldn't? We see that with Indigenous, like stuff like this. We see that in NDIS. They sit there and wonder, where did all these con artists come from? Well, you allowed it to happen. You don't think. They got to think more like a criminal. You know, there's obviously going to be con artists coming in. Anyway, so that's the first thing he says.
And that's even more so, really, when so many of these Wurundjeri also have European or other overseas ancestry. I'm guessing the vast majority of them.
Okay, so the second thing is, even people with Indigenous heritage, okay, and goes for myself, they've got vast majority. Actually, I would say everyone in Victoria, because of what's happened down there in the past. Vast majority they're mixed. They've got European blood. If you're not 100% Indigenous, why do you get any say over the land? This is all about money. There are so many con artists in this. And so we shouldn't be surprised when people are out there trying to make money. They're just con artists.
Bar at most a handful. And when I talk about ancestry from overseas, often a lot from overseas. There'd be some more British than me, and I have no British ancestry. Well, all that, unless of course, we've seen some miraculous change, so that over a century and a half, the Wurundjeri, like the Wurundjeri chief, can go from looking like this, it's the famous William Barrack, to this. This is Murundiri, who teaches.
So you see what this is the problem. This chap would be predominantly European. Predominantly. He has got well over. Okay, this is just my opinion. I can't back this up with any facts right now, but just by looking at him, I'm not going to say that he's not Indigenous at all, but I believe that he would be well over 50% European. Well over. And yet he's standing up there supposedly the chief. Really?
Wurundjeri culture at the Healesville Sanctuary.
He teaches the culture.
It says he inherited Barrack's headman title from his uncle 19 years ago. Are we really not supposed to notice the difference between, again, Wurundjeri elders of the past and those identifying as Wurundjeri elders today? Are we not supposed to then wonder whether that difference we see with our own eyes suggests also a difference in kind? Supposed rights over the rest of us. Now, this latest land claim, it mirrors ones over Adelaide, Perth and Sydney, 2 of them already granted, and it's been lodged with a Labor law firm by 11 claimants. 11. 3 of those 11 people claiming native title over Melbourne and surrounds have been interviewed in the news stories I read this morning. Let me introduce you. They are Perry Wandon, a Cultural Heritage Officer, Andrew Gardner, a member of Victoria's First Peoples Assembly, and Aboriginal bureaucrat Di Kerr, who was inducted into the Victorian Aboriginal Honour Roll. Now, be clear, I am not saying these people do not have some Aboriginal ancestry, or that they have no right to call themselves Aboriginal under the present official definitions. That is not what I'm saying. But I do wonder why one strand of their ancestry defines them racially, but the others do not. And I wonder why the fact that some of their ancestors were Aboriginal, some, entitles them to more say over our second biggest city than any other Australians.
Okay, so there you have it. What he's saying, I believe this is truth telling. Are we supposed to just ignore with our eyes the fact that Indigenous people, you used to look at them, you used to look at photos of Indigenous people, they were extremely dark skinned, okay? Dark skinned. A lot of them very, very dark skinned. Now, people stand up, they say, I am Indigenous. The problem that I have is that people talk as if that's it. That's the only part of their DNA that matters. They are Indigenous. I am Indigenous. I belong to whatever tribe. This is my people. This is where it all goes back. And you sit there going, well, that's great, love. But maybe out of your great-great-grandfathers, one of them was Indigenous, okay? And out of great-great-grandparents, you would have 16. Like the chap that I spoke about in one episode, claiming he was Indigenous. Fellow was as white as you could think, okay? Didn't look anything like Indigenous, but whatever. He can claim some Indigenous heritage. I would never deny it. Good on him. But the problem is, your great-great-grandfather was Indigenous, but you've got, out of all those great-great-grandparents, you've got 16, and you're only looking at one who was Indigenous, and you're claiming, I am Indigenous because of that one person. What if the other 15 of your great-great-grandparents were all French? Wouldn't that mean that you were predominantly just French? You know? Truth-telling. We want to talk about truth-telling, but this is the thing. All these people want us to ignore the fact that we can't see with their eyes that they don't look very Aboriginal. The reason why they don't look like an Australian Indigenous person is because they don't have a lot of Australian Indigenous heritage in their bloodline. It doesn't mean for a second that you can't claim to be Indigenous or parts Indigenous, I think. And it doesn't mean that you shouldn't be proud, but you need to accept the fact that you're not just Indigenous, and that doesn't automatically give you the right to have the say over vast swathes of land just because one portion of your DNA comes from an Australian Indigenous person. That doesn't give you any more rights than all the other people in this land. We are Australian. Now, I do think, like I said before, if you are 100%, and I mean 100% Indigenous, I think everyone, for starters, okay, shouldn't just be able to tick a box and say, I'm Indigenous. I don't even think that you should be able to just say it and then have someone else come and back you up. I think you have to give a DNA test. You should give a DNA test, and there should be definite markings in your DNA that you have Aboriginal DNA, Australian Indigenous DNA flowing in your body. That should be straight off the bat. And I believe that if you're going to have a say, if you're going to be a part of some treaty, or you're going to be a part of, having some say over how land is used, and have a say over how land is used above and beyond what others in this land and in this country can say, well, then you have to be 100% Indigenous. There cannot be anything else in your bloodline. You have to be 100% Australian Indigenous in your DNA. That's it. We're a nation that talks about the truth, but we really don't want to hear the truth anymore. That's all my opinion. My name is Jay Fallon. Please give me a like and a share, and check out my music if you get a chance. I'm Jay Fallon. Thanks for listening to The Slippery Slope.
They just fuel the desire that will take me higher. I'm on fire because nothing's going